Oh boy. So it's been about an hour since the checkered flag fell for the NASCAR championship. Or I don't even know what the name of the race was at Phoenix tonight. It just said on TV the NASCAR championship. And to say that I've got very mixed feelings would be an understatement right now. It, oh my God. it is it is something else for whatever this quote unquote sport has really come down to. Um, for those who don't know that might be watching this for the first time, first and foremost, welcome. First off, this channel is primarily NASCAR Racing 2003 content. Emphasis on NASCAR, the National Association of Stock Car Racing, a sport which I have poured 22 years of my life into. I just turned 23 this past month, and for 22 of those years, I've lived and died by this sport. I have gone to several races. My younger brother, he's the crew chief of an ARCA team for Rise Motorsports in the ARCA level. Just want to shout them out if for some reason this goes viral. And I have spent probably thousands of dollars in on this sport, going to races, investing in merchandise. I've got probably about maybe a dozen and a half NASCAR 164 cars sitting right in front of me. I got, ironically enough, I've got this Chase Briscoe diecast right next to me on the ping pong table right now. My basement is just littered with NASCAR memorabilia, and I've spent so much of my time with this sport, and after tonight and just this weekend as a whole, it I last year was bad enough with the Joey Logano winning the championship, but this year somehow feels a million times worse. Don't even ask me how it feels worse because, Kyle Larson in the current points format we have right now, if it was just a 36 race season with no points resets, he would have been the champion. But in this current format where the lights shine the brightest and you can't perform as a certain NASCAR media member that doesn't even deserve to have his name mentioned, that's how little he matters to the NASCAR online community tonight, or he matters a lot given how much you want to go spam him. Don't spam anything with hate, I should say. Just given how Kyle Larson won the championship here tonight after, playing the format like it was with the chase, for it to feel fluky like it has tonight, it shows the biggest problem that we have got with this sport right now. And I've said this to my family for like the last 24 hours or so. I think I've said this sentence more than any sentence I've said in the last week, that this isn't a motorsport anymore. This is a motor farce. This is a farce of what was once a proud sport 20 years ago that has slowly and surely been dying over the last 15, 20 years or so. I feel like with my NASCAR fandom, Tony Soprano, I feel like I came in at the end. I was born in 2002. I've been a fan since the last time I can remember. I think for one of my first birthdays, I was dressed up as Jeff Gordon. I've had, again, like I've said, I've poured so much time and effort into this sport. And, even through the bad eras, through the Car of Tomorrow, which, looking back with that, with nostalgia, I never thought that would be possible, with the Gen 6, the late years of the Gen 6, and the whole next gen bull crap, and the playoffs, and the gimmicky, contrived nonsense that is this sport right now, this farce right now. And I've been disillusioned. It's gotten worse over the last couple of years. Me getting into hockey, being a hockey broadcaster as my trade right now, but still keeping tabs on the sport that I've loved for over 2 decades of my life. And tonight, it really feels like a big breaking point. It feels like a breaking point for my fandom personally, and to say that as a fan of over 2 decades, it's it's disheartening. It really is disheartening. I'm in that Gen Z Zoomer generation that NASCAR is trying to target, but this isn't it. This format isn't it. This winning you're in bullshit isn't it. This gimmicky, contrived nonsense of bullshit. This isn't it. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who needs to hear it. Obviously, nobody's going to take my word for it because this is the first time I'm making a video on this subject. But there's no other way. There's no other way for me to describe this. I feel like my NASCAR offline series, Enter 2003 offline series, has a better championship format. We crowned a more legitimate champion, ironically in a very similar way. Funny enough, now that I'm thinking of it, ironically in more similar fashion, where it was kind of a fluky nonsense mess, but at least it wasn't a one race winner take all. At least that happened relatively organically with the chase format. This and the whole X factor of Goodyear. Insert Tony Stewart quote about how Goodyear can't make a tire worth a crap. Right freaking here. Right here on November 2nd, 2025. Because, we've all joked for years how Goodyear is terrible. And I've even painstakingly gone into my own NR series, making sure that there's no mark of Goodyear, and where we run Hoosier tires on my neck of NR 2003. And tonight, that was the final nail in the coffin for whatever reputation Goodyear had, where it was blowout after blowout, and the championship race. I put this in, I texted several people about this, that this championship race here tonight was going to be decided by Goodyear, for better or worse. And obviously, it was for worse with 3 laps to go. Another left front tire blows, and this is, I think David Lamb put it best on Twitter. This was like if the 2005 U.S. Grand Prix, or hell, even the 2008 Brickyard 400 was decided based off of, or decided the championship. Ironically, both those were in Indianapolis, and it has nothing to do with Phoenix. I don't even know why the hell I'm even mentioning that part. But to suffice it to say, it's just, you can't have a tire disaster in the championship race. Imagine if there was a tire disaster in the 1992 Hooters 500. How much of a farce that race would have been. And just that, and this just gimmicky, contrived mess of a playoff format where a driver who's going to win it legitimately under this format, Denny Hamlin, he said, screw it, we're going to play ball. We're going to play by your rules. We're going to do the same. We're going to go out and dominate. We're going to shine like the lights were brightest. And something out of his control takes it away and gives it to a driver that, yes, mathematically deserved it more than Denny Hamlin. But Hamlin played this format right to a damn T and still got screwed over it thanks to the many millions of X factors that you can have in auto racing. Blown tires, mechanical failure. We had the clutch with Denny Hamlin earlier that he came back from. Chase Briscoe, who went full Rocky and Randy Marsh in this race and didn't hear no bell. Somehow he was still in the thick of it. He didn't give up. Hamlin never gave up. Kyle Larson, blew a tire and then just waited in the wings to finish. Where'd he finish? 8th in the race? Didn't even win the damn race. Ryan Blaney won the race. I probably said Ryan Blaney won the race more than Lee Diffie or NBC did. But it's just soul crushing to see a result here tonight and see a champion that, would have deserved in the format we're asking for. He would have deserved it. But in the format we've got right now, it feels fluky. It feels hollow. It feels like the whole sport is in a Chernobyl-level meltdown on Twitter right now, on Instagram, on whatever platform we're talking about things right now. I guarantee you, door bumper clear, Dave Moody, the teardown is just going to be filled with so much toxicity. And this isn't even getting into the Xfinity race last night where I'm recording this, where Connor Zilic was robbed of a surefire championship because he didn't shine where the lights were brightest at a statistically worse track. And I told myself after last night that I was going to boycott the Cup race today because I thought that result last night was so so full of BS that I was like, my one view isn't going to matter. But I decided to give the sport one final chance here tonight. 22 years of trying, 22 years of waiting for a decent champion. We've gotten decent champions in this format. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson. He's been consistent. He's been a poster boy of consistency. We've had champion Kyle Busch. It's the same thing. I'm getting 2019 Kyle Busch vibes where it seems like the driver who is the most consistent all year, when they win the championship, it doesn't feel right because they won the championship at the last freaking second in the final race of the season. A winner take all. Golly, man. This is just on top of the metric amount of BS from this season, from winning you're in to the playoff format to NASCAR for once not even rigging races, because of course they're going to throw a caution for Byron. You can't even say that Byron getting into the outside wall you couldn't throw a yellow for. They were doing the same thing all day long. At least NASCAR, with their caution calls today, were relatively consistent. But you know what's bad? When the Truck Series has the most legitimate champion of the season. We were a restart away from that not being the case. It was Corey Heim literally saying, Jesus, take the wheel, and flooring it on the inside to go 7 wide to win a championship when he won 11 races that year. That's what it's going to take to win a championship now in NASCAR. Winning 11 races and flooring it to the inside of 7 wide to win a damn championship. This ain't stick and ball. This isn't whatever the hell y'all guys think it is. This is motorsports. It's supposed to be motorsports. It's supposed to be a sport, but it's not motorsports. It's stick and ball sports. That's what the clowns at NASCAR are thinking with this right now. And if nothing changes in the off season, they're saying that this format will potentially change. I'm not going to believe it until I see it. And if nothing changes and it's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors and shit being blown up the ass, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, obviously I'm going to be busy because I call hockey for a living, so I'm a little bit busy in late February, early March in that department, but at least just get rid of the one race, winner take all BS format you've gotten. Get rid of winning you're in. If we go to the 3-3-4 format like people are suggesting, or hell, go to the format Eric Estep suggested, where you have the one race wild card where it whittles it down from 16 to 12, and then it's 3-3-3. That would be a legitimate format. Maybe you have like wild card teams on the cusp of making it in, or something or other. I don't know. That seems very gimmicky. Just have the 3-3-4 format where you have 4 races to decide the championship. That would be more legitimate in this. And please, dear God, get rid of winning you're in. I should not be pissed off when Austin Dillon is winning a race. I should not be pissed off when Austin Dillon is winning a race at Richmond, because it means that he's going to bump Tyler Reddick out of a surefire playoff spot. I should not be pissed last year when Harrison Burton wins at Daytona. And the first feeling should not be anger and disgust of Harrison Burton winning at Daytona last year to get into the playoffs. You should not be fearing drivers, gimmick drivers, back of the field drivers winning a race because it's going to affect who's going to win this championship. It's simple stuff. It's simple stuff that we have been asking for at least the last 5 years. And of the 12th season of this god-awful format, how many legitimate champions can you crown? 3? I guess 4 if you count tonight. What was it? Truex in 17, Busch in 19, Larson in 21. What can you do? There's nothing you really can do. But I've spent 15 minutes ranting about something, and I wanted to feel something after that. And I felt anger in the moment, and I still feel a bit angry right now, but it's just apathy at this point, man. It's straight apathy. And that's a dangerous spot to be in for somebody that has given nothing but a damn about this sport for 22 years of their life. And I don't want to be in this spot. You know, I love it. I want to call it a sport, but I can't call it a sport after this weekend. We've said that last year after the Joey Logano incident, but it's disheartening. It's disheartening to know that a 23-year-old screwing around with NR put together a better championship performance. It's worse, and this is not a dig on the Fuel Racing League whatsoever, but they have a more legitimate champion in Zach Rogers for the Fuel Racing League than we have right now. At least it feels that way. At least with Zach Rogers dominating Fuel, you can say that he is a more legitimate champion right now because it feels right, because he did the most. He led the most laps. He won the most races. He did the bare minimum to win the championship. He has the best average finish. It's literally to win a championship in motorsports. That's what you got to do. And I don't know. What else can you say? All right. I've ranted for about a good 17 minutes or so. You'll see the Loves American Truck Series schedule on the right side of your screen. For those who are normal viewers of this channel, there's the race names at least. We'll pull up the race schedule as well. We'll just put that, my ugly mug, down at the bottom. You know, there's schedule, race dates, race names, all that good stuff. I've already recorded. Darlington will be recording Dover tomorrow. But yeah, that's really gonna do it for this rant. Good God. How we fallen. How we frickin' fallen. How we fallen.